council for Tuesday, April the 3rd, 2018 to order. And I need approval of the agenda. Mr. Cook, Secretary, Councilor Kirby, all in favor?
Yep.
Thank you. Adoption of the minutes. Kirby?
The council adopt the minutes of the Monday, March 19th, 2018 regular council meeting as presented.
Second. All in favor? Opposed?
Yep.
And any business arising from those minutes? Just the delegations and Molly, Mike Bernier, nice to see you, even if you do have a Dawson Creek shirt on.
Well, that was my ploy, Your Worship, to say how come I've never got one from the District of Tumbler Ridge, but we'll start.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not a good way to start this meeting, is it? Jesus.
We can put a vote still since there's a quorum, all those in favor. Anyway, thank you very much, and Councillor McKay on the phone I heard too. Good evening and thanks for having me here. And was just looking forward to the opportunity to come and see council, give an update of what's going on. More importantly, just to talk about the good relationship we have and continue talking and answering any questions that I can on my end of things as well, if council has any. Maybe I'll start with some of the immediate things that have happened. So as of a week ago, I am no longer the critic for health. I am now the critic for oil and gas development. That has, for the most part, been quite an exciting change. Health was, as you can appreciate, very large, very busy, very emotional file. It was a tough file, and my hats go off to anybody who's a minister also in that portfolio, because it is very difficult, and it's a large part of government, as you can appreciate, and as it should be. But now taking over as oil and gas development is quite relevant for not only the region, but I think it puts me in a good profile position with my background, what happens here, to talk about what should be happening in other parts of the province. When you look at the debates that are going on right now on natural resources, pipelines, etc., and the differences between regions of the province, it's going to put me in an interesting position, to say the least, as we talk about whether it's mining, oil and gas, LNG, and pipelines for the latter moving along. So I'm looking forward to that role. So we're in, as you know, we're in spring session right now in Victoria. So my job representing the region has me there. We started beginning of February. We go until June, but we're on our, some people call it spring break. We try to call it time to be home in our ridings and constituencies, working in the office and getting out and doing things like this, keeping face to the name, so to speak. Some of the things to bring to your attention, talking to your CAO as well, some of the changes that are happening in the new government is there's going to be, and I'll try not to sound too polarizing and political with these comments, but there are a lot of changes happening, especially around taxation and costs to municipalities, to local taxpayers. As you know, as of April 1st, the 3% increase in hydro rates and carbon tax also went up, which was something we were trying to avoid, but the new government has decided to increase carbon tax by $5, leading into to $50 a ton, so it's at $35 now. You'll see that really starting to affect a lot of additional costs to people, especially at the pumps. I do not sympathize with Vancouver when they're complaining about the price of gas right now at the pumps, with carbon tax going up, and at the same time people lobbying to try to stop pipelines that bring the gas to Vancouver. But that's a debate for a different day that I think I'll get into. There is a speculation tax that's been brought in. I don't think that will really affect too many people up in this area, but that speculation tax is if you live up here and you own a secondary home in one of the chosen jurisdictions, Victoria, Vancouver, Kelowna. I know they have changed it recently, and that was something, again, we're trying to get the government to change, because they're saying if you live here and you have a summer cottage somewhere, that you're gonna pay a speculation tax on that. We're trying to say, if it's an inheritance or it's part of your assets that you can get towards retirement, you shouldn't be penalized for that. I understand the government is trying to fix affordability issues. I just don't think that's personally the way to be doing it. You can't tax your way to affordability, in my opinion. Again, talking to your CAO, one of the things you'll need to be aware of is the new employer's health tax. So as you know, MSP is reduced as of January 1st this year by 50%. As of January 1st, 2019, you'll have to pay the 50% of the MSP rate, but they're also the government's bringing in a employer's health tax. So everybody who has a business that has a payroll of over $500,000 will have to pay a health tax. It's the government's way of saying we're getting rid of MSP, but they still needed the money coming in, so now it's a health tax instead, just transferring who's paying for it. Why it's important to municipalities is most municipalities are in a unionized environment that pay MSP already. So it might not be a huge hit to your bottom line, but the new health tax next year is a bit of a double dip. I just want you to be aware of that, because you're going to have to pay the MSP and the health tax. The year after that, you'll go to just the health tax. So just to kind of bring that to your attention, as I'm sure you probably already know. One of the other issues that's a real hot potato right now that government's trying to manage is the legalization of marijuana, and what that's going to mean to municipalities and what that's going to mean to the province as a whole. Federal government is, on their mount, is saying we're going to legalize it across Canada, but that's really left the provinces trying to figure out how they're going to do this. How's it going to be for enforcement? It's illegal to drink in a public place. Is it going to be illegal to smoke cannabis in a public place? Like, these are the things that are trying to be figured out right now. All of the regulation was supposed to be in for us to vote on. The new government has informed us that it's a lot more complicated than they thought. So we might have to stay in Victoria longer than we thought to work on those bills to decide how that's going to play out. The only other thing maybe I'll leave you with, questions, Your Worship, is Dan Davies, MLA Dan Davies. Just to inform people, as a lot of people know, he is on the mend. He did get hurt in Fort St. John a week ago, quite seriously. Was medevaced out to Vancouver, where he still is, and he's hoping to come home this weekend. Spoke with him again yesterday, though, and he is on the mend, and he told me, as I was the health critic at the time, so he told me he was testing out the health system to tell me what we had to complain about, but he said the service, especially and travels, was exceptional area. So he's on the mend, and he's going to be back home soon. So I just thought I'd throw that out there as a positive. So maybe open up for any questions you have of me.
I've got one, and that's Greyhound. I know there's going to be a transportation minister is going to be in Prince George tomorrow. A meeting on it. We haven't had Greyhound here for a while, so it doesn't affect the whole bunch. People that go to Dawson Creek or Chapman to get it. And I was just wondering, it seems like it's probably a done deal. It's a private business making a decision. Is there any hope from going to meetings?
It is going to be a tough decision for the minister if she wants to try to overturn, because you've got the Transportation Authority, which is an independent statutory body who makes decisions based on the recommendations that come in from groups. So, of course, you have Greyhound, which is a private company, but they are regulated in BC. So to change a route, they had to apply to the government to do so. The agency that makes those decisions on that appeal looked at their books and says, yeah, this doesn't make sense. We are going to allow you to curtail or stop your Greyhound routes. The minister, I think, would have to be in a tough spot, in all fairness to her, because she would have to go against a statutory decision maker to appeal that. So I'd be surprised. It does create some stresses and challenges I'm hearing up here, especially for people who use it to travel to Prince George if the times don't work for Northern Health Bus, for instance, to try to get to visits. I went and looked at how many people are using it. I went to the bus depot in Dawson Creek, which is their hub for the region, and the last bus that came in had 3 people on it. So I can kind of see where the company's coming from, unfortunately. You hate to lose any service, but from a business standpoint, unfortunately, it makes sense.
I just look at the place like Mackenzie, that's really gonna hurt them because there's no way else out of it.
Yeah, and sometimes you end up getting spur-off businesses that can be created. If the need's there, that's what happens.
Seeing nothing else, I really appreciate you coming down.
Yeah, no, thank you again for having me. I head to Victoria again this weekend. I'll be there until June. But as I was mentioning to the mayor, if there's at any time things are coming up where you need either the conduit advice or somebody to bring your message to Victoria, that's my job. That's what I'm here for. So just let me know.
Appreciate it.
Don, if you don't mind, just breaking in the note here, I'm having a real hard time hearing what's going on, but I do have a question here, if you don't mind.
Okay, go ahead. And then Councillor. Katie. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks.
Are you talking?
Oh, okay. Like I say, it's breaking in and out here. It's hard to tell. Yeah, I will now. First, it's nice to see that Dan's on the mend there, Mike. Thanks for that update on that. But also, I'd like to also mention that, thanks to you for over the years, opening up doors for ministries and things like that, and being with us at meetings, and really helping us along quite a lot of different topics we've had to deal with in Tullamore Ridge, and you've always been there to help, and really appreciate that. I'm wondering about the paleontology at the museum issue that we're having right now. Do you see this government maybe taking a different approach and maybe looking at it as something that the province could fund?
Yeah, thanks. Well, first, Councillor, thanks for your opening comments. I appreciate it. It's good having a good relationship and we support each other on any issues we have.
Yeah.
When it comes to the museum, of course, I leave that to council to work with the groups locally. Once, I think, I've talked to the mayor about this. If we're going to be successful, and I personally feel it's very important for the region and for the province to have recognition for what Tullamore Ridge has done, which comes with financial support if we're going to be continuing on, especially on the research side of things, which I argue is provincial more than it is local. But again, none of this would have happened if it wasn't for yourselves and the regional district stepping up and really supporting them. It's where you go from here. And I will support the decision of council and the groups working together. I think if we don't have a united voice, if we don't have a common theme and goal of what we want to achieve, the province is going to keep stepping back, and the province is not going to want to get involved, to be quite blunt. Until everybody's on the same page, whatever that page is, and working together with the province, it gives me better ammunition to be able to go to the province and say, look, we're all on the same page, but there's jurisdictions here that need to step up. Whether you take the Geopark and Museum out of the equation, the research center, again, is of not only provincial, but global significance in a lot of ways. The province needs to recognize that. I know we were making headway, Rob, too, especially when we met with the last premier and ministers, that we needed to get there. I think if with the new government, I don't want to say that they're not going to recognize that, but if we don't go down united, it gives them an excuse to do nothing.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike, and congratulations on your new portfolio. You did a great job.
Thanks, Councillor.
Councillor Katie.
Thank you, Your Worship, and Mike, welcome. Nice to see you again. I have a question with regards to the Wolverine Forest Service Road and the deactivation of that. And I have a great deal of difficulty from a personal perspective to try to wrap my head around and understand when they start talking about major safety concerns there. Then up that road, as many others in Tumble Ridge and tourists and people that we have, and I just don't see it. I get the feeling that they're trying to make a case to talk themselves out of putting any money into it, which wouldn't be a whole lot, as opposed to, and rather than do that, using this as sort of a scapegoat to say the safety concerns. Now, again, I've been up there on quads, been up there driving, don't know how far up it goes beyond the mine site or whatever, where it starts, where it finishes, but is there anything that you can see that we can do to be able to halt this? Because again, for anybody that I've ever talked to, and there's been a number of people that go up there, as you know, for recreational wise and the whole 9 yards, I don't see that dangerous at all. And to me, it's a matter of saying, well, if we use that approach, then who can argue? Who can debate that? I mean, it's too dangerous. Well, dangerous to who? And does that automatically, the fact that if the government feels that way and that strongly about it, in terms of putting up signs, proceed at your own risk, you may end up dying on this road or do whatever, so on and so forth, but you know the point I'm trying to make. And then,
Don't know if I'd ever see that actual sign, but yeah.
well, I haven't either, but you know, again, most people are certainly that are intelligent. They know what dangers there are. And quite honestly, I can't point out an area in that road going right up through to the tunnels of where that is of major danger, including the bridges.
So let me explain what I know about it. First of all, I know council has written a letter to the province, as have I, on this exact issue. I have met with the minister twice, trying to get information, and I will be next, it's either Monday or Tuesday, probably Monday, I will be in the House talking to the minister in what's called estimates on this exact issue. I asked for a time slot on a few things to talk to the Minister of Forest Lands, Natural Resource Operations on this. So two things. They definitely are looking at ways they can save money. They've been reviewing a lot of the Forest Service roads around the province, and they've had engineers, from what I understand, go through, and so we say it doesn't look like a safety issue. An engineer will go look at one of the bridge crossings and say, we don't think this meets the standards for public access anymore, so we should shut down the road or upgrade or maintain the bridge, because there's different bylaws that or different laws pertaining to how bridges and accesses are maintained and invested on. So there's that part where they're looking at, if we keep it open, do we have to continue investing in that road? The other side of it is around the Caribou. And so the reason why I bring that one up is the new government, you'll hear them talk about UNDRIP a lot. UNDRIP is the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People. They have said every single thing they do right now has to have an UNDRIP lens on it. Now, we know that there is a issue we have right now with our caribou habitat in the area. I would argue science is still out on the cause. I'm not in favor, personally, not a comment, not in favor of the government unilaterally saying we're going to get rid of grizzly bear hunting in the province, because then we have the issues of the predation that happens with not only the grizzly bears, but the influx we're having with the wolves and even wolverines that we have up in some of the areas going after caribou, deer, and moose. Caribou are crying for the picking. And so they, for some reason, I've heard within ministry staff have said if we stop the backcountry access for snowmobiles, four-wheelers, etc., there'll be less distraction, less, especially in the wintertime, packing of the snow per se, that will allow the predation to occur easier for the caribou in the mountain jurisdictions. So I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but there's some people in the ministry that are using that as an excuse as well. So I'm going to meetings that have just started within the ministry. They're talking about caribou recovery programs within the region, and they actually just brought that up. I have a real problem with it, only because at the same time they're saying we're gonna shut down Forest Service roads because of that issue, they're giving 10 years for new forest roads to be built to access new lots. Can't have it both ways, as far as I'm concerned, so I'm gonna be asking the minister to explain that one on next week.
So just to finish it off, what can we do as a municipality, as a council, in terms of stopping this from happening, or who do we approach next? I mean, again, when you start working after caribou, so on and so forth, and fine and dandy, and there's caribou all the way through up that range, right through, I've seen them. What can we do? I mean, is it a matter of keeping hunters out? No hunting, stop it from being a hunting zone, if that's what it is. So what else, if anything, can we do to make enough noise to have the people come up here who don't live here, who never travel it, aren't interested in traveling it? What else can we do as a municipality to keep it open for those in this country and throughout our entire area want to use that as one of the recreational avenues to get into the backcountry?
No, absolutely. So I would almost argue and keep the hunting and the caribou issue out of it, try to keep it separate, because there's different people, different groups looking at that on how they can do a caribou restoration program.
Right, and when I say hunting, I'm not talking about going out and hunting caribou.
Yes, so,
Them off. You don't hunt caribou, period.
yeah, but what we don't, but what they're saying is the backcountry makes it harder. What I would say is approach it from a tourism aspect. That would be my gut feeling, from a community perspective, because the road is especially a bit of a lifeblood for you, for people, if that's what you want to continue promoting, getting back into the geobark country, four-wheeling, snowmobiling. I mean, there's people that come here, I mean, I've snowmobiled that country, and I've stayed in hotels here in town while I'm doing it. That's something that's really going to help the community. I think you need to go from that angle, is what I would suggest. Maybe give me a week, see what the minister says when I ask next week, and then we'll have a better idea of what angle to go.
Right, sure. I just wondered too, if you know, delegation to His worship and so forth, that's worthy of coming down to do that, to present something after we hear from you, and I'm sure those arrangements could be made as well.
My gut feeling is don't waste your money
Yeah.
on something like that. It could be something that would be on the list of UBCM in front of the minister, but we kind of want to have this somewhat kicked down the field a little bit before that.
Sure.
But always keep that one on your list of things to talk to ministers and UBCM about as well. I don't think a trip to Victoria would, first of all, I don't know if you'd get in front of the minister.
The only other point I wanted to make was the fact that the deactivation work is planned to start in the summer of 2018. So there's a time frame between now and perhaps we can
Well, absolutely. I should work with your staff, communicate. I know the ministry wrote back. I just can't remember off the top of my head when I read that what they said, other than they weren't committing to anything. What I remember.
You got that letter, or,
Oh, is it in your package today?
Thank you.
okay, yeah, it's a tough one, you know, like, when we, asked, at the meeting here, we mentioned caribou, they said, oh, caribou's got nothing to do with it, but we all know what to do, so.
Yeah.
When we were at that meeting the other day, it's pretty obvious.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. Thank you. Well, anything I find out, I'll just communicate
Fair
back
enough.
to your staff if that's okay.
You betcha. Thank you.
Thank
thank you very much. Unless you get the odd break so we can see you once in a while.
That's right. I like coming out here for the food.
Okay, correspondence. The first one is that letter, Minister for Forest Lands and Natural Resources on the Wolverine Forest Service Road. Information or discussion?
John, can we mind having that for discussion?
That's
Did you want to talk to that, Rob?
Yeah, just a brief word.
Just a minute. Seconder for discussion? Kirby? Okay, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, just following up with Mike's comments there. like it's been deemed unsafe, and I'm wondering, like, unsafe for what? Is it unsafe for a loaded logging truck? What if the GVW was lowered, that it would just be used for a pickup truck holding whether it's a snowmobile or something like that, or maybe a truck and camper at most? Is that something that's doable?
What they said at that meeting was that this spring with the runoff, there's some of those bridges aren't gonna be there anymore. Because
Oh, I
they
see.
already, and that
Yeah.
they'll just continue to go. To tell you the truth, I haven't been down there, and I don't really, we should take a run down there and have a look at it, I guess, but haven't done that yet.
Okay. Hey, thanks very much.
Anything else? 6.2, Community Adult Literacy Program, letter of support. Councillor Kirby.
Make the recommendation that a letter of support be sent to Tumble Ridge Community Adult Literacy Program to help them secure the 2018-2019 grant.
Seconder for that. Okay. All in favor? Opposed?
Yep.
Pass. 2018 resolution collection of unpaid bylaw fines from, that's from Whistler. Discussion or information? Complicated.
I'll move for information, Your Worship.
Second.
All in favor? Approved. 6.4, follow up on the UNBC and LC Northern Health Bachelor of Nursing Degree Program for the Northeast British Columbia. I think we should be sending that letter. I was at the, where they presented what they're gonna do in Fort St. John there. And it's something that we really need up in this area. Somebody make that motion. Councillor Kirby,
I'll make that motion as presented.
second. Councillor Cocker, all in favor? Opposed?
Yep.
Carried. No bylaws. The Emperor's Challenge, in-kind donation request. I would just like to make a suggestion here that this comes up every year, and it's just in kind, it's for the washrooms and that type of stuff. We could make this, Mr. Wall, we could make this as a kind of a blanket thing.
Yeah, on the alternative recommendation, number 2 covers a yearly expenditure to approve this in-kind donation.
I don't know how everybody else in council feels. That sounds good.
I would so move, Your Worship.
Okay. Seconder for that. Any more discussion on? All in favor? Opposed?
Yep.
Carried. District strategic plan and CAO goals. A recommendation. Councilor Casey.
Thank you, Worship. I would recommend that Council adopt the goals as attached in Appendix A for the purposes of the CAO performance review. And the Council adopts the 2018 strategic plan as attached.
Seconder. Any discussion on that? On favor? Opposed?
Yep.
You're in favor, eh, Rob?
I'm in favor, yes.
Okay, thank you. Carried. And 8.3.
Motion.
Yes.
We're missing a quorum now, right?
We got Rob.
Oh, Rob, right, yeah, sorry.
Tumber Ridge.
I'm gonna get hell from Rob for forgetting you on the phone. Later.
8.3, Tumber Ridge Golf Country Club, 2018 operations, restaurant and lounge. Recommendation there? Councilor Kirby?
Yeah, that administration enters into lease negotiations with Devonport Ventures as per the expression of interest closing March 21st, 2018 for the Tumbler Ridge Country Club restaurant lease.
Seconder. Casey? Discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? Carried. If you just knock on the door there, you'll come.
Can anyone recall if Councillor Kirkhope has been excusing himself for the weddings?
Oh, we got one more here too. I didn't know we had two for this.
That's the one difference, with golf course disarray.
What's that?
That's the golf course disarray.
Oh, yeah.
Five on there.
Okay, 8.4, golf course outdoor wedding ceremonies policy. That's page 51. Recommendation? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I just wonder if it's more or less for discussion, they're trying to send them out. That's how I read it.
Okay,
So,
we're just coming up with a.
An amount, and you have the policy there for review, so the goal is for the next meeting to have a policy that includes an amount so that we can change our fees and charges bylaw, as well as adopt the policy, so if council has comments on the policy tonight would be the chance to make them.
Okay, just for a starting point, staff did recommend $500. So, Carrie, did you have
Yes, just onto the policy, there are no, we have, there's set dates for tournaments at the golf course. There's ladies opens, men's opens, club championships. I think what we'll need to do is maybe get, someone to look into those dates. I can't remember what the exact dates are, but I think those should be taken out of exempt from bookings for the wedding.
I would think that when somebody phoned to book a wedding and they had a tournament going on.
I think it's good to set it so people know when they're looking at dates, so just to, I think it should be into the policy, just what days. It could be put out at the beginning of the year.
If council wants to set those days aside, I think that should happen. We haven't always held those tournaments. So right now the policy is on a first come, first served basis. So if, for example, the men's association or the women's association doesn't get on that right away and somebody books a wedding, that would interfere with it. So if council wants to make sure those dates are set aside every year, that should be set aside. And you should also think about the other tournaments that you may want to need space for as well. I know a number of them take place in the summer as well. So right now, as the policy stands, it's first come, first serve. And Councilor Kirby's asking for changes to that.
Just as an example, we have the TR Cares golf tournament that happens every year, so, that would be, we should get, staff to look into dates. I don't know who the representative is who goes to the district meetings when they're planning the tournaments now, with the district running the pro shop, but I'd like to see that happen.
So if we determine the amount, then you could go back on dates and then come up with the policy. Councilor.
so just on that, and I agree with dates for tournaments. We have when you say first come, first served, I get that, but what about having a clause or, the district opens up, whoever's running the golf course at the time, opens up until end of May to book your tournaments? So whether that's ladies' night or men's wind up, or whatever it is, TR Cares, and then it's opened up for, would that work for staff or not?
It would work for staff, whether or not that would work for the weddings. I mean, we've had people in over the winter trying to set the dates for their weddings, whether or not they'd be willing to wait till May to set that date, I don't know. There's gonna be unhappy people on this, no matter which way council goes. Either you're setting the date for weddings at a point where people can't plan properly, or you're getting people to organize the golf tournaments. I mean, in my experience, the golf tournaments have generally come in here pretty late. I mean, I think I recall 2 years ago, we couldn't even get one of the tournaments on the agenda because it came in 5 or 6 days before the tournament was going to take place.
So Councilor Kirby's idea would be right, and have set dates that they can't book a wedding.
So I believe Councillor Kirby's talking about tournament play, which will set its dates earlier in the year because they coordinate across the different golf courses. But for the more local tournaments, for the fundraisers, those aren't usually set until well into the spring, early summer. But the council can set that policy and say, listen, if you guys want the early date, get in here early and get yourself booked. After that, it's going to be first come, first serve. However you guys want to approach it.
I think that it's important to save those dates, you know. To me, that's the way it's always been. I know in the past few years, like now that the district is taking over the pro shop, we've got people who are serious. We've got a lot of seniors who are going by their handicaps and we've always been in the circuit for the tournaments, and I think it'd be nice to get back into that. So there's a few tournaments that I think that we could nail down. That would be just getting in touch with the ladies and the men's conveners at the golf course, and then sitting down with whoever is going to be overseeing the running of it from our side.
So we'll leave that as that. We can make that come out.
So just on that, I mean, I'm not a golfer, but I did attend a few men's nights, and I know even with their tournament, like, I mean, I think they decided it like mid-September when the date's gonna be. So like we're saying, set confirmed dates for the ladies wind-up, men's wind-ups, seniors. I know our fire department throws one, TR Cares, like. So I see where Mr. Wall's saying how it doesn't matter which way you go. I just say, how do you confirm a date with those guys? 'Cause I know on the men's side, like you said, it was last night.
Thanks. It's been a while since I've been on the golf course executive, but there are tournaments. There's the ladies open, the men's open. There is your club championship, and there's an inter-club that usually we do have set dates for those that are set up at the AGM, and they've always been there. Whether we do it is one thing or not. So those are the ones, and then TR Cares. That's an ongoing annual. You know, it's just I guess you have to get those dates in ASAP, but there's some that I think we should just look back into it and see whether we want to have those set aside.
So back to the.
I was just gonna say, I like the staff recommendation in regards to, they're talking about 3 hours, looking for an amount of $500. Yeah, that makes sense. I know they have some other costs in here from other golf course in regards to the lost revenues and all that. I like that idea of the $500 because people time to set up and that's what they do. I know further on in here it talks about shutting down the golf course when we're having a wedding. Don't know if I fully agree with that. Like my thing is, I think they suggest hole 1, hole 9, or over by the driving range. Depends what the wedding party would want. To me, if they're on hole 9 or hole 1, I would think golfers could go by hole 1, down the backside at 9 to golf hole 2. And start. That's just my. I don't think there's a need to shut the golf course down.
That was the whole idea.
Yeah.
So, on the amount, 500 okay with everybody?
Yep.
So that's in the recommendation?
No, there's no recommendation. There's just it's just in here that it was through how we all talked back in November. It's just in the staff background.
So just $500 direction, is that good enough?
Yeah.
Okay. And was there anything else? We'll leave the hours thing.
Yeah, we'll bring back a report on what tournaments there are. Council can take a look at that and set. That'll be fine. One of the issues, we can amend our fees and charges bylaw without having this policy done. So now that we know that, it's just there's a number of other things going. That's nice to get all the fees and charges done in one go. So if council's happy with 500, just give that direction that we produce a $500 fee for you in the next meeting.
Good.
Just need the direction from your worship.
Direction is
Second.
all in favor? Opposed? Carried. 2.5, comparison of regional library with wages. Recommendation? Or is that just for information? Councilor Casey?
Where the council receives a comparison of regional library wages report for information, your worship.
Second for that? Okay. All in favor? Oh,
Second.
that, okay. And you seconded. Everyone second it? Did you want to discuss it?
I think we can discuss it.
Bring it up for discussion. Okay, Councilor Kirby, second that. Go ahead.
So I just wanna thank staff for the report, and I know there's some other stuff in there, I've seen stuff on my desk. Just wondering why we wouldn't have gotten in contact with Bruce or Taylor. My only question.
Thank you, Councillor. We did get in touch with Bruce and Taylor. We took a look at the services offered. Bruce was not a comparable library. I think they've got one head librarian and a part-time and one part-time staff. They work within the school. It's basically a school/public library, so it just wasn't a good comparison to what Tumbleweed offers.
Can we bring this back to a PMP and just have a discussion on it? Give you direction where we want to go. I think there's more discussion here that's going to happen. There are areas that we are lower than the average. So okay. Council okay with that?
Could I put another, maybe a little bit of an addition to that too? That we're comparing ourselves to some of the communities of the similar size, but do they provide the same services as we do?
Yeah.
I think that should be included in the formula we use to put an hourly rate on whatever the workers over there do.
Yeah, well, you'd be able to bring that up in the discussion.
Okay.
You have a question?
Yeah, so you hit on the nose about coming back to the PNP. The wages that we have for this in our report, is that with the 2% added that we voted on earlier? No. Okay, just something like that. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll come back in a PP. Everybody's okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, vehicle use policy. Information. Councilor Casey,
So moved, your worship.
seconder. Motion,
I'd like to move for discussion.
seconder. Councilor Kirby, all in favor?
Yep.
So just going through all this, to me, there's lots on there. I was actually hoping this would go to a PNP. And even when it was discussed back when we asked for it to be brought up, just so it could be more of a sit-down conversation. I mean, obviously with yourself, Mr. Wall, hopefully with some staff. Just to see how they're feeling, and it's not about making hardship, and it's not like that to anybody. I know you get the fire department here, I have no issues with the fire department responding from home in the command vehicle. But again, I'd like to have a discussion in regards to, children, stuff like that, riding vehicles like that. And in regards to what the district may be liable for, on a bad extrication, if they were to witness that, which there is some of that. So I was just hoping we can move it to a PNP where it could be more of an open discussion.
No, your worship, I talked with staff and I think the report answered some questions. I know, previously, that in the early part of this year, we had some concerns regarding this vehicle use, and at this point, I'm happy with the report.
So, bring it back to PMP, I don't know why. Did we not have it at a PMP? Yeah, I know we had some discussions on it.
Council's discussed it a couple times. I don't think it's been in the PNP for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right in the notes of motion.
Okay, so then actually I called the vote on it, didn't I? Okay, so it'll come to a PMP.
Sure.
Okay, schedule of meetings. Anybody got anything to add?
Thank you, Worship. Just that everything is going fine with the town hall meeting, nothing else to add, or if the topics, everything's ready to go? Excellent.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilors, no notice of motion, council's business. Go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. Just to let council know that the MOU has been voted on and approved by both boards, they're just waiting for a signature. So that'll be coming up shortly.
Councilor Trickup.
Thank you. I was actually gonna talk to the worship last week in regards to doing a press release. And putting out, like, you know, there's lots of stuff on social media for one, and even in the newspapers and stuff like that, about in regards to the museum. And I think we should be doing still a press release, even though the MOU is waiting for one signature. I think it's right that people are aware where the district came from, and to me, I think it's right that we put out the facts. I don't think we had an opportunity to do that. With no local paper here, I don't think they're catching all of the information that this council's been dealing with. And I think it's only right that that press release is to go. I'll leave that up to the worship. That's just my opinion.
My problem, I mean, I know everybody comes to the table here, they hear a lot in town here, and I hear a lot of out of town stuff, and people are asking me, you know, what's going on out there and all this stuff, and now we got getting the MOU signed and that, I would like to reduce the amount of damage done to this community. We have worked really hard to have a museum, have a geo park. Just Expedia just had the 10 most small communities to visit. We were right at the top of the list. That's the stuff that's going to get hurt if we do this. I don't mind having all the information sitting up at the front counter there, and anybody in town can come and get it and read that. But I've always been against, lack of better words, airing the dirty laundry outside of town. You know, I think we should get on here, get this done, and start working together and get past this stuff. I think the more we do stuff like press releases and that, I was just on the radio and they set me up pretty good. I was flabbergasted because they had their own opinions before I even got on the radio, and what I wanted to say never even came out. So, and that's the thing that happens, and I think if we can just get past this, get this MOU done, get a working relationship with everybody, and proceed, and have the information. If anybody wants to come in here and see what we've done over the past years, or how we got to this point, have it up there on a pile on the desk, and they can grab it. I have no problem. I want everybody in Timber Ridge to know what it's got us to this point, but I don't really want to do it. But,
So we'll make sure that's available then, so that people can at least have, if they want to know the true facts and what, you know, not only council's dealt with, but admin. And it's not deal with, I mean, it's just the true facts. You say you got set up on CBC, well, to me, they didn't have the true facts.
I don't think they did.
Right, so of course, I mean, again, I did go back and listen to it, and I feel for it. But I don't think, I mean, they only heard one side, and I won't even say one side, because that's not for the museum, but they hear pieces from every person. And it's not the board, it's just, you know, people that support it or don't support the museum. So I think they only got parts of that, you know, from other people's social media pages, people doing shares and stuff like that, so I don't think they had the true facts.
Yeah.
And that's how they base their questions to you.
Yeah, and
if you watch it.
It'd be nice if we still had a local paper, but we don't. So I think this other thing would work. We could even have it at the rec center, so they can pick it up easier. That would be
Motion to
possibility.
do that?
What's that?
Just what are the motions needed?
Do we need a motion to just have that available to the public?
Are you looking for a staff report on timelines, on decisions that have been made, information that's come back? Are you looking for something coming from council? What's the,
Just the history of how we got to the point.
Thank you, Your Worship. We are having a town hall meeting on the 12th, and I think if any residents has a question to come and ask any one of us councillors, they can do that then. You know, that would be my opinion on that.
But I still think that having a frontier for all the information, this is how we get, isn't a bad idea.
so,
I just think that there is so much information, it just depends how staff gonna, what, I guess just,
Well,
let's,
we're gonna come up with a press release, same thing. Just
Okay.
It won't be a press release, it'll just be information.
yeah, so what I can do is put a staff report in that goes through the decisions that council's made, the requests that have gone to the museum, the information's come back. If it's not gonna be a press release, what could be done is that actually all that supporting documentation's in there. So we could put kind of like a binder together with the history and the actual documents, whereas a press release would have just been a 1 page or 2 page coming out of the mayor's office. So is what you're talking about a staff report going through all the different documents and
Well, I don't know how much time you gotta spend on it. No, it's, I've seen a press release that, a draft, and it pretty well covered everything.
Okay.
It's just, I didn't want to see it.
yeah. So if it's coming from the mayor's office, I don't need any direction. The mayor can come in and tell me this is what I want on my stationery, this is what it wants to look like. My only request for direction is if council is asking admin to do a report or go through the history, then I'll need direction. If it's just coming from your office, then I'm fine at this meeting.
Okay, and we'll go over it.
Okay.
Okay with that? Yeah, did we make a motion on that?
You don't need to.
Okay. Alrighty. I was at, Caribou Recovery meeting the other day, and, they're making, putting together a committee to, look at how we're gonna address this. And, there were a lot of people there, I think there was about 50 people there, and it, covered a lot of stuff. One thing that came out of that meeting that I thought was really important is that Caribou, yeah, their numbers are dropping back in Quintet Mountain and all that stuff. But there is places up the highway where nobody gets to, that the numbers are dropping too. So I don't think it's anything that we're doing. I think it's just, nature is, it's hard on them. And, what I said at that meeting is every time we do something around here, one of the first things that the people ask is, how's it gonna affect caribou? Well, when they put the wind farm up here, they looked at how it's gonna affect caribou, they said it wasn't. Well, the elk is still there, the moose are still there, bears are still there. The caribou, I haven't seen one in, I don't know how long, so. They're just a real finicky animal, and maybe it's more climate change or something like that that's doing this rather than, I think that we agreed that there has to be a lot more scientific work done on that before they come up with any decisions. I don't know if I'm gonna end up on that committee or not, but Tim Crossan was there and so was Sarah. So we got a lot of input from the Timber Region. See where that goes. Okay, question and answer period. What? Okay, I guess that takes us to a closed meeting. Thanks again, Mike.
Yeah, good seeing you.
let's close.